Picture a transatlantic storm in 1492, catching the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria far from any shore. The wooden hulls are torn apart, and the Atlantic swallows the expedition entirely. Christopher Columbus disappears from history before he ever sees land. Millions of people already lived across the Americas in complex, highly organized societies. They maintained rich cultures and established languages that had diversified over thousands of years. Other voyagers had reached these shores long before the 15th century. Evidence of Viking sod houses in Canada confirms that European contact had already occurred 10 centuries ago. Framing these continents as an empty new world was a convenient narrative. It allowed later arrivals to ignore established civilizations and claim the land as their own. European crowns viewed the Atlantic as an investment opportunity. They commissioned voyages to secure specific spices, gold, and labor to fuel their growing domestic economies. Sailors like Pedro Alvarez Cabral and Jacques Cartier were already navigating these waters. Within a single decade, European explorers would have sighted the Americas, regardless of Columbus's fate. Sustained contact would inevitably trigger the Columbian Exchange. Smallpox and measles, introduced from the Old World, would still sweep through the populations with devastating speed. But there is a different version of this story, one where Europe abandons the Atlantic entirely, allowing the indigenous civilizations of the Americas to follow their own independent trajectory. To see what these nations were truly capable of, we have to look at a timeline where their development was never forcibly interrupted. Without colonization, fragmented tribes across North America consolidate into massive alliances based on mutual trade. The Iroquois Confederacy leverages agricultural mastery to support a growing population, extending their influence across the Great Lakes and down the Mississippi. Along the north and eastern coasts, the Algonquin culture unifies through sustainable land management. They create a stable coastal region that coordinates resources from the Atlantic to the interior. These nations operate with open borders and shared resources. It is a geopolitical model built on environmental solitude and resource sharing, standing apart from the rigid national boundaries common in Europe. In Central America, the Aztec Empire outgrows its territory and begins an aggressive military expansion to the south. To stop the Aztec advance, a resurgent Maya civilization forms a defensive alliance with the military might of the Inca. The defeat of the Aztecs leaves the Maya in control of Central America and allows the Inca to unify the entire western coast of South America under a single administration. With their borders secure, Incan botanists systematically catalog the Amazon's biodiversity. They identify specialized medicinal plants and new food sources that were previously inaccessible. A tri-continental trade network emerges, connecting the Great Lakes to the Andes. Goods, cultural practices, and scientific discoveries flow freely through the Mayan Bridge. By the early 1700s, these connected trade routes support urban centers that rival the largest cities in Europe, forming a cohesive economic bloc that controls the resources of two continents. Across the ocean, Europe's agricultural limitations remain a constant threat. The continent struggles to sustain its growing population on the soil it has. This chart shows the specific deficit. 15th century European wheat provides a fraction of the caloric yield of American staples like the potato and corn. Without access to those American crops, European nations remain trapped in cycles of famine. A single bad harvest continues to cripple entire regions. This lack of surplus calories prevents the labor shift required for an industrial revolution. When every hand is needed in the fields just to prevent starvation, the transition to urban factory centers never takes place. European economic growth remains tethered to its limited geography. Without the sudden influx of American agricultural technology, the rise of European global empires stalls before it can begin. This creates an opening for a different kind of discovery. A massive fleet of American ships, built from western redwoods, begins sailing east. These vessels utilize advanced navigation and textile technologies developed through the Maya-Incan alliance. They eventually reach the coast of Portugal, making peaceful contact with local sailors. The Europeans find themselves facing a technologically superior fleet from a world they didn't know existed. These American explorers bring more than just trade. They introduce advanced herbal medicines, sustainable farming techniques, and concepts of decentralized government to a fractured European continent. The events of 1492 broke an independent chain of development. This alternate timeline reveals the sophisticated architecture of a future never allowed to happen.